Hello everyone, welcome again to Real Class. I'm still your tutor. My name is Ido MA. In our last class, we looked at collocation. Now this time, we are looking at another strong topic, and it's verbs without preposition. First of all, what is a verb? A verb is said to be an action word or a state of being. It's not just an action word, but a state of being. For example, he slapped him, where the word slap is a verb. But when I say he is a pastor, there is no action there. That is expressing the fact that a person is a pastor. So a verb is either an action word or a state of being. All right? Now we talk about preposition. What's a preposition? That word that shows relationship between one thing and another is a preposition. For example, the dog is under the chair. What's the relationship between the dog and the chair? It is under. So under is a preposition. All right? I am going to Lagos. What's the relationship between you and Lagos? It is to. So to is a preposition. So we now have list of verbs on the board. These verbs that we have here, anytime you use them, avoid the use of any preposition because it will render them tautological. It will make them have meanings that they've already have or they've already had within them. All right? So that's that. Number one is discuss. Anytime you use discuss, never you use the preposition about. It will be tantamount to grammatical blunder. Discuss does not go with the preposition about. So you do not say, we are discussing about politics. Rather, say, we are discussing politics. We are discussing politics. Again, don't forget, anytime you use discuss, don't use about. Never you say, we are discussing about politics, but say, we are discussing politics. We are discussing politics. Emphasize. The word emphasize does not go with the preposition on. So you don't emphasize on something. Rather, you emphasize something. You do not say, let's try and emphasize on the issue. It is wrong. Rather, you say, let us try and emphasize the issue. Let us try and emphasize the issue. All right? So in that case, emphasize to does not go with the preposition on. Then we talk about stress. Stress also behaves like emphasize. So anytime you use the word stress, it doesn't go with on. You don't stress on the need for something. You stress the need for something. The chairman stress on the need is not correct grammatically. It is the chairman stressed the need. All right? Not stressed on. Stress, once more, does not go with on. Then we talk about solicit. The word solicit already means to ask for. So it already has for as a preposition inside of it. So any attempt to use for immediately after it renders it grammatically wrong. So you don't solicit for support. You don't solicit for support. You solicit support. He solicited support from the pastor. He solicits support from everyone every time. He solicits support from everyone every time. All right? Not he solicited for support from everyone every time. No. Then we talk about advocate. Advocate also behaves like solicit. You don't advocate for something. You advocate something. You ask for. That means for is already within the verb advocate. So there is no need using the word for immediately after advocate. It will render it grammatically incorrect. So there is nothing like the chairman advocated for a two-party system. It's wrong. It is the chairman advocated a two-party system. Again, advocate does not go with for, all right? Because it is one of the verbs without prepositions. Then you talk about demand. This demand is very different because when you use it as a verb, it does not go with for. But when you use it as a noun, it can go with for. I've already given the definition of verb earlier, that a verb is an action word or a state of being. Then what is a noun? The traditional definition of noun is that noun is the name of any person, animal, place, or thing. But that definition is not complete. When you say a noun is a naming word. Whatever names anything becomes a noun. All right? So when you use demand as a noun, it can go with for, but as a verb, it doesn't go with for. For example, the girl demanded for money from her parents is wrong. After demand, used as a verb, don't use for. So the correct English will now be, the girl demanded money from the parents. The girl demanded money from the parents. All right? But when you use demand as a noun, then it can go with for. All right? For example, the girl made a demand for money. In other words, that demand becomes a name. All right? The girl made a demand for money from her parents. It becomes grammatically correct because in this second example, demanded does not function as a verb, but strictly as a noun. Now, the next on our list is request. Request also behaves like demand. All right? In other words, if request is used as a verb, it doesn't go with the preposition for. The chairman requested for money. It's not correct. The chairman requested for money. It's not correct because requested is used as a verb. Rather, you have the chairman requested money. The chairman requested money. But again, just like demand, when you use request as a noun, then it can go with the preposition for. For example, the chairman made a request for money. The chairman made a request for money. So after the request, you can have what? For. Why? Because that request there is now functioning as a noun, no longer as a verb. Now, we talk about order. It would interest you to note that order functions just like demand and request above. All right? Now, when order is also used as a verb, it doesn't go with the preposition for. All right? You know, he ordered for a bottle of drink. He ordered for a bottle of drink is not correct because order there is what's used as a verb. All right? Now, I want to quickly let you know something, and that's beer parlor. There is no such word as beer parlor. It is called pub. I'm saying this for the sake of the example I want to give. All right? All right? So you have something like pub where people go to drink. All right? There is nothing like beer parlor. All right? So you can use this in line with that pub. The man made, or the man actually ordered a bottle of drink at the pub. The man ordered a bottle of drink at the pub. All right? But when you use it as words, as a noun, then just be rest assured that it can go with for. For example, the chairman made an order for a bottle of drink at the pub. You can see that order behaves just like demand and request respectively. And the last one here is comprise. Comprise. The word comprise does not also go with what? Of. It doesn't go with of. The class comprises of 20 students is not a correct grammar. The class comprises of 20 students is not a correct grammar. Rather, you would have the class comprises 20 students. The class comprises 20 students. But there is a way you can use comprise such that it can still go with what? Of. Of can only come after comprise if the verbs to be come before comprise. What are the verbs to be? The verbs to be are verbs like is, am, was, were, are. Any of these verbs I've mentioned, when they come before comprise, then comprise can go with of. For example, this class is comprised of 20 students. This class is comprised of 20 students. All right? That's that for verbs without prepositions. All right? So, in our next class, we shall look at another topic that we find very interesting.